Thank you. We are very happy to be here today to present a few snippets of our performance that we took back east to Washington, D.C. We took two stories, two very powerful stories, and were able to combine them and intertwine the two themes. The song that they are entering on right now is a blending of the two stories. John Cabot and Natsuhine, the paddling song. At this time, we would also like to acknowledge Sealaska Heritage Institute for providing $10,000 for our travel back east. We needed to raise about $65,000, and the money that we were given from Sealaska Heritage really propelled us to take this on the road. Today we will be performing only the tides part of the Tides and Tempest. So you will be seeing the Thingit story come to life this morning. The next scene you guys will see from the Tides portion of the Tides and Tempest is when Natsuhine goes to the sea lion leader and pulls the harpoon from the sea lion that he struck with the harpoon. So this is the scene that you guys will be seeing now. Before we open the scene, I would like to acknowledge Kitchnach, George Davis, because these are his words that the kids will be singing. And this song, Tsuhede Shugach Tutan, was composed by Harold Jacobs. So, we are telling you guys thank you very much.
It seemed to Natsuhine that he had gone to sleep and was dreaming a dream. Those sea lion people, those Ton, looked just like human beings to him, and everything he saw looked just the way it did in the village where he came from. And yet it was all different. It's hard to say exactly how, like in a dream.
The Ton welcomed the stranger into their village. Well, not exactly a stranger. Natsuhine. They knew him. He had always been a respectful hunter, had done all the things necessary to earn their trust, and now they needed him for something only he could do.
In the biggest of the houses, an important man, the leader of the Ton, lay sick and dying, and even their wisest healers could not understand what was wrong with him.
Natsuhine looked at that man. He saw a harpoon tip in his side, and he thought to himself, "This is the fourth sea lion, the one I wounded, the one that got away. And here's the spear tip sticking out of his side. How is it none of these Ton can see it?" He thought for a long time. Maybe it's because that tip was made by human beings and isn't any part of this undersea world, isn't anything they know. That's why the sea lion people can't see it. Maybe I can help them. And Natsuhine pulled that harpoon tip out. Gently, gently, he cleaned the wound and bound it. He prayed that the Ton leader would live. He did these things from his heart, never thinking that the sea lion people would reward him. He was the one who had caused it in the first place, but he wasn't thinking about any of that. He sang a healing song and bandaged the Ton leader.
That injured, dying man suddenly felt new life rush into his body. He felt the healing hands of Natsuhine, and he knew that he would live. That sea lion was cured. Natsuhine cured him.
realized it had never been far from his mind. After all, I don't think you can help me with this thing I want most, said Nazi Clene.
The sea lion people looked at him. They saw the sadness in his eyes and the bitterness in his heart. Oh yes, said the Tom leader. Oh yes, we can.
This part of the tides is a very important part, not just to us at Glacier Valley, but to all of us who are Tlingit. This is a very pivotal point in the story where Nazi Clene removes the wound. He removes the harpoon from the wound in the sea lion. And this is likened to our own culture because a lot of it was torn from our souls. And here we are today using a Tlingit story intertwined with one of the greats from Shakespeare. And we are taking that harpoon out of our culture's side. And we are beginning to heal our wounds when we do things like this in our schools and with our youth. It's through these actions that our wounds begin to heal as a culture. And I know that at Glacier Valley Elementary, we are just some of the few who are striving to continue to heal these wounds within our culture. And I am extremely honored to be a part of this group. And I am also very honored to be a part of the larger movement in Southeast Alaska with our youth and with our language and sharing our culture with others. And I really would like to thank Sitka, Huna, Klukwan, Cake, Wrangell, Ketchikan, and all of the other schools who are using Tlingit language, Tlingit song, and dance in their schools with their children, because this is how we heal our wounds, is by bringing things out like this in the front and displaying the abilities of our youth. Akengunachchish to everyone who has been involved. Akengunachchish also to the Daklawedi clan and to the Nanya Ayi, the Tsagwedi. They're all the killer whale people. In fact, if you belong to one of those clans, please stand or raise your hand so we can honor you now. Gunachchish. Gunachchish, this is your history, and we are very honored that we have been able to learn it and to share it with you guys. Right now, what we are going to show you from our tides portion is the part where Nazi Clene uses the tools that the sea lion people gave to him to carve the killer whales. And we would like to give a big thank you to our friend George Hawley for composing this song and the dance to go with it. Akengunachchish.
He took those things and he closed his eyes. Nazi Clene was a master carver, remember? The man who was good at everything he did? And now because of his visit to the Ton, he was a shaman as well. He had entered their dimension, and that's what a shaman is, a kind of traveler. Now he was a powerful shaman. The wind blew and the waves crashed, and the moon went behind the clouds. When he opened his eyes, it was as if his wife was gone, and his village was gone, and there was nothing, only Nazi Clene and his carving. into it, and it swam. He called it Keet. He called it Keet Shagoon. He called it killer whale, for killer it was. All that night he worked, carving more killer whales. He made a pot of them. He talked to them. He welcomed them to the world. He told them many things, everything he knew. He told them about the canoe of his brothers-in-law. He told them what he wanted them to do next morning when they would be paddling out fishing for halibut. He told the killer whales that. And then he waited. All around him swimming the black nighttime water. The killer whales waited too.
We had planned on showing a video clip of this part. However, there were difficulties with technology and we were unable to get that clip in time for our performance. And we would bring out the killer whales, the killer whale headdresses. However, when we were in Washington, D.C., we decided that we would give those headdresses to the museum and that we would symbolically release the killer whales as Nazi-Kline did. Because this is like how we are doing this with our own histories and our own language and our own stories and giving those through oral traditions so that our youth can learn about who they are and who their ancestors were. So it's unfortunate that we don't have this clip, and it's also unfortunate we don't have the killer whales, but it was a very moving act for us when we were in Washington, D.C. to release the killer whales. And I would also again like to say a big thank you to Sealaska Heritage Institute for donating the $10,000 to the Tides and Tempest, because we needed a lot of money to travel back east with these youngsters, and without the efforts that Sealaska Heritage puts forth and all of the efforts within our own communities, these types of things would not be happening. And so we are very, very thankful that Sealaska Heritage has been so supportive of Tlingit culture and Haida culture and Tsimshian cultures in our schools. That's the way it is, and that's the way it should be. Many, many thank yous. At this time, we would like to exit the stage and sing Tsuhede Shugach Tutan again. And thank you all for being here this morning, and thank you for listening to us. Aklingunilchish.